The crimson dawn of planet Kura painted the battlefield in shades of blood and gold. Princess Thalara of House Siluran gripped her plasma blade, its blue light cutting through the smoky air as enemy dropships descended like mechanical locusts. Unlike her sisters who cowered in the palace's crystal towers, Thalara had refused to hide. Her mother, Queen Serafina, had commanded her to remain safe, but the princess had defied royal protocol once again. "Your Highness, fall back," shouted Captain Vex, her loyal guard captain, as dark machines rained fire from above. His weathered face bore the scars of countless battles, and his golden eyes reflected both admiration and worry for the rebellious princess he'd sworn to protect. Thalara's pale blue skin shimmered with perspiration as she parried an enemy blade. Her silver hair, braided with warriors' knots, whipped behind her as she moved with deadly grace. "I don't retreat, Vex. My people need to see their princess fights beside them, not above them." The battle raged for hours. Thalara's tactical brilliance turned the tide twice, her knowledge of ancient battle formations proving superior to her military academy training. But as night fell, she began to feel strange. Her limbs grew heavy, her vision blurred. The water, ration Lieutenant Kor had given her earlier, tasted bitter in her memory. "Something's wrong," she whispered to Vex, stumbling as her legs betrayed her. Vex caught her, his face pale with realization. "Kor," he growled, scanning the battlefield. But the lieutenant had vanished into the chaos. As Thalara collapsed, her own guards corrupted by Kor's lies about her supposed cowardice dragged her broken body toward the rocky valley's edge. "The princess deserted us," Kor's voice echoed in their minds. "She's brought shame to the crown." Even Vex, torn between duty and truth, couldn't act against direct orders from a superior officer. Tears streaming down his scarred face, he watched helplessly as they abandoned their princess in the wilderness. Thalara lay among the jagged stones, her royal armor cracked, her body racked with poison. The twin moons of Kura cast eerie shadows as she drifted between consciousness and death. Days passed. Her people, believing her dead, mourned the loss of their fierce princess while she slowly died alone, forgotten. Dr. Aaron Mitchell had never imagined his xenobiology research expedition would end in a crash landing on an alien world. The former NASA scientist turned independent researcher had been studying extremophile organisms when solar storms tore his small craft apart in Kira's upper atmosphere. Now, 3 weeks later, he survived in caves carved from purple crystal, subsisting on strange fruit and water collected from morning dew. Aaron's Earth standard equipment, a portable lab, emergency beacon, and survival gear had kept him alive. But his attempts to signal Earth had failed. The magnetic field of Kura interfered with everything. His beard had grown wild, his clothes were torn, and loneliness ate at him more than hunger. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, his research partner back on Earth, would be organizing search parties by now. His sister Sarah would be worried sick. But Aaron was a survivor, and his scientific curiosity kept him moving forward, cataloging the alien flora and fauna even as he searched for rescue. On the morning he found the smoke, Aaron was collecting samples of bioluminescent moss. The thin trail rising from behind a ridge sparked hope, another survivor, perhaps, or even native life. He followed it with his heart pounding. What he discovered changed everything. She lay crumpled among the rocks like a broken doll, her pale blue skin catching the morning light. Aaron's first thought was that she was dead. Her chest barely moved. Her eyes were closed, and her body was twisted in obvious pain. But as he knelt beside her, he noticed the subtle differences that marked her as not quite human. The slight point to her ears, the shimmering quality of her skin, the silver hair. That seemed to move with its own life. When Aaron touched her face, checking for vital signs, she groaned softly. The sound was so human, so filled with pain, that his heart clenched. "Hey, can you hear me?" he whispered, though he knew she probably couldn't understand English. "I'm going to help you, okay? I'm going to get you out of here." Aaron had no idea who or what she was, but his medical training kicked in. He gathered her carefully in his arms. She was surprisingly heavy, her bones denser than a human's, and carried her back to his cave. Using his limited medical supplies, he cleaned her wounds, gave her water drop by drop, and fed her small pieces of the sweet fruit he'd found edible. For 3 days, she remained unconscious while Aaron tended to her with the dedication of a man who'd found purpose in an impossible situation. When Thalara first opened her eyes, she thought she'd entered the afterlife. The creature tending to her had soft brown eyes and gentle hands, speaking in musical tones she didn't recognize. His skin was darker than any Saluran's, his hair curly and wild, and he wore strange clothes made of unfamiliar materials. Aaron felt his heart skip when her violet eyes finally focused on his face. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way, but it was the intelligence in her gaze that captured him. Even weak and wounded, she radiated a strength that spoke of nobility and power. Easy, Aaron said softly, offering her water. You're safe now. I'm Aaron. Valara tried to speak, but only managed a croak. Over the following days, Aaron cared for her with unwavering patience. He showed her his equipment, his drawings of Kira's wildlife, his attempts to signal home. She watched everything with keen interest, her quick mind already working to understand his technology. Communication began with gestures and drawings. Aaron sketched Earth round, blue, with one moon. Valara drew Korra with its twin satellites. He showed her pictures of cities, oceans, forests. She drew soaring creatures and crystal palaces. Slowly, painstakingly, they built a bridge of words between their languages. Aaron proved to be a natural linguist, while Valara's royal education had included ancient tongues that shared surprising similarities with human speech patterns. My name is Valara, she said one evening, her voice still rough but proud. I am a princess of House Siluran. Aaron smiled, having suspected she was someone important from her bearing and the quality of her armor. Princess Valara, I'm honored to meet you. Their conversations grew longer and deeper. Valara told him about Sky Beast's magnificent creatures that soared between Kira's floating islands. She described her sisters, Princess Lyara, the eldest, who was being groomed for the throne, and Princess Myra, the youngest, who loved music and poetry. She spoke of her mother, Queen Serafina, who ruled with wisdom but struggled to understand her rebellious middle daughter. Aaron shared stories of Earth, of cities that stretched to the horizon, of oceans vast enough to lose yourself in, of music that could be stored in devices smaller than a coin. He told her about his work, his dreams of finding life among the stars, his family back home who probably thought he was dead. They discovered they were both rebels in their own ways. Valara had defied royal expectations to become a warrior. Aaron had left a comfortable academic position to explore the unknown. Both had paid the price for their choices. As Valara's strength returned, so did her fire. The princess who had once led cavalry charges across Kira's crystal plains was not content to hide in a cave, no matter how safe it felt. Aaron watched her practice with a makeshift sword. Her movements fluid and deadly, despite her recent injuries. I must return, she announced one morning, her violet eyes blazing with determination. I must face those who betrayed me and reclaim my honor. Aaron felt his heart sink. He'd known this moment would come, but he'd hoped. What? That she would stay hidden forever? That a princess would abandon her people for a stranded alien? It's dangerous, he said quietly. They tried to kill you once, then I'll be ready for them this time. Valara's jaw set in the stubborn line Aaron had learned to recognize. But I won't go unprepared. Will you help me? The question hung between them like a bridge waiting to be crossed. Aaron could have said no, he could have focused on his own rescue, his own problems. Instead, he found himself nodding. What do you need? Together, they worked to modify Aaron's emergency beacon. Valara's knowledge of Siluran technology, combined with Aaron's understanding of quantum communications, created something neither could have built alone. The device would broadcast on royal frequencies, a signal that couldn't be ignored. During the long hours of technical work, their relationship deepened. Aaron learned that Valara's rebellious nature stemmed from a deep love for her people and a desire to serve them better than tradition allowed. Valara discovered that Aaron's scientific pursuits were driven by a profound loneliness and a need to find his place in the universe. Late one night, as they worked by the light of phosphorescent crystals, their hands touched over the beacon's controls. Both felt the electric connection, the recognition of kindred spirits who had found each other across the vast emptiness of space. Aaron, Valara said softly, whatever happens when we return to the capital, I want you to know you saved more than my life. You saved my faith and goodness. Aaron looked into her eyes and saw his own feelings reflected there. You saved me too, princess. I was lost until I found you. They didn't kiss, not yet. The moment felt too sacred, too fragile for physical expression. Instead, they sat in comfortable silence, hands clasped, two hearts from different worlds. beating in perfect synchronization. When the beacon finally activated and sent its signal into Kira's night sky, both knew they were calling for more than rescue. They were summoning the future, whatever it might hold. The response came within days. A sleek Siluran scout ship descended from the amber clouds, its crystal hull gleaming in the morning light. Captain Vex himself stepped out, his golden eyes wide with disbelief when he saw Thalara alive and whole. "Your Highness," he breathed, dropping to one knee. "The entire realm mourns you. The Queen herself wept at your memorial service. I was betrayed by my own people and left to die," Thalara said, her voice steady but cold. "This human, Doctor, Aaron Mitchell, saved my life when no Siluran would." Vex's weathered face hardened as he looked at Aaron with new respect. Then the realm owes him a debt beyond measure. The flight to the capital gave Aaron his first true view of Kira's beauty. Floating islands connected by energy bridges, crystal cities that caught and reflected the light of twin suns, forests of silver trees that sang in harmonious winds. It was more beautiful than any world he'd ever imagined. But the capital showed scars of war. Burned towers rose like broken fingers toward the sky, and the great palace itself bore the marks of battle. Queen Serafina waited in the throne room, her regal bearing unable to hide the grief that had etched new lines around her violet eyes so like her daughter's. "Thalara," the queen whispered, rising from her crystal throne as her daughter entered with Aaron at her side. "You live." "I do," Thalara replied formally. "But only because this human showed me the kindness our own people denied." Aaron bowed deeply, remembering Thalara's lessons in court protocol. Queen Serafina studied him with intelligent eyes, taking in his alien features, his strange clothes, his obvious devotion to her daughter. "You saved what we could not," the queen said finally, her voice thick with emotion. "For that, House Siluran owes you a debt that can never be repaid." Thalara stepped forward, her hand finding Aaron's. "He is more than a savior, Mother. He is the man I love. I want him to stay, to be part of our world as I am now part of his." The court erupted in whispers. A human consort for a Siluran princess? It was unprecedented. But Queen Serafina raised her hand for silence, and Aaron saw where Thalara got her strength. "So be it," the queen declared. "Let love bridge the gap between worlds." In the months that followed, Thalara systematically dismantled the corruption that had nearly destroyed her. Lieutenant Kor was tried for treason and exiled to the furthest moon. She reformed the royal guard, created new laws that protected the innocent, and established a council where every voice noble and common could be heard. Aaron found his place as the realm's first xenobiologist, establishing an exchange program between Korra and Earth that would benefit both worlds. Dr. Elena Rodriguez was the first Earth scientist to arrive, tears streaming down her face as she embraced her long-lost colleague. One evening, as Kira's twin moons rose over the rebuilt capital, Thalara and Aaron stood together on the highest balcony of the palace. The city spread below them like scattered jewels, while above, the first Earth ships approached through the star-filled sky. "You changed everything," Thalara said softly, her hand in his. "Not just for me, but for our entire world." Aaron smiled, thinking of how far they'd both come from that desperate morning in the Rocky Valley. "We changed each other," he corrected. Two lost souls who found their way home. They didn't need more words. As the stars wheeled overhead, stars that no longer separated their worlds but connected them, Princess Thalara of House Siluran and Dr. Aaron Mitchell of Earth stepped forward into their shared future, their love. A beacon of hope spanning the vast distances between worlds.